If you were to ask me the one thing, after 30 years of voraciously consuming, reading, studying, finding mentors in the fields of mind-body awareness practice, psychology, neuroscience, experiential healing, if you were to ask me in all of that time, 25, 30 years, what's the one thing that you would most advise someone to do in terms of inner work? What's the most effective? What's going to create the most change in your day-to-day life? It would be this: bring awareness and compassion, courage and patience and curiosity to what it is that lies underneath the defenses that we all have, that we all use to try to pretend that we don't feel the way we actually feel. Emotional intelligence is a kind of superpower, and we all have defenses because at different times in our lives, certain experiences, certain facts, certain feelings were too overwhelming for us to really meet them on their own terms. We maybe didn't have the support, we didn't have the information, we didn't know how. We were too young, we were too helpless, whatever the various reasons may have been. And so brilliantly, we put up defenses to protect ourselves against having to deal with what felt unbearable. And in a way, I said brilliantly, that really saves us. And it really becomes an effective strategy for navigating through life at that stage of development. But as we get older, that old reflexive kind of automatic defense mechanism starts to hold us back. It starts to limit our capacity for success, for healthy risk-taking, for intimacy, for just self-development and openness to life. And so going back and working through, becoming first aware of those defenses, getting curious enough to open and soften and go in, so compassionate enough really to open and soften and go in, and then curious enough to find out what's going on in there and how do I keep healing and growing and learning how to live in a way that doesn't rely on those defenses in the same way anymore, so that I can be more free. So I'm Julian Walker, and this is the third in my IGTV series on defenses and how defenses are really a key topic and a key area of work for awareness practice. I'm going to start, as always, with you, and this will be familiar to those of you who've been following along, with a little awareness practice. So the way we get into this is by exhaling all the way empty, and then slowly start inhaling through your nose. And just take as long as you can to breathe in through the nose. Just focus on that. And then when you feel all the way full, hold the breath in for a moment and slowly start exhaling through the mouth like you're blowing the breath out in a thin stream through a straw, like take as long as you can with that. It's like you're trying to get to twice as long with that exhale as whatever your inhale was. Whenever you're empty of breath, do that again. Inhale through the nose. Take as long as you can. Keep breathing in. Find yourself in this moment sitting here with me, and then hold the breath in when you're full and slowly again start blowing it out. Take as long as you possibly can on that exhale. And as you're exhaling like that, become aware of your hands and your fingers. Really just feel your hands and fingers from the inside as you're exhaling slowly through the mouth like that. Become aware of your feet and your toes and your face, the air against your skin. Whenever you're ready, start inhaling again. I want to invite you to keep breathing like that in the way that I've just shared with you for another minute or two. Stay with that breath and feel where you're touching the floor. Feel whatever you're sitting upon. The sense of arriving in this moment, aware of your body, in touch with the feeling of the breath moving in and out. And you'll start to notice there's a down regulating that happens in your system, where I can notice just from doing this with you for a few minutes that I'm more aware of sounds around me. I'm more aware of my environment, of the colors, of the quality of the light. So really what we're doing is shifting brain state. And as we shift our brain state, we start to have access to the present moment in a way that actually is incredibly beneficial and nourishing. Stay with that breath if you can for a little while longer. Because really that breath and that long, slow exhale is the key to down regulating, shifting, I notice there's a sense of peacefulness and safety that's available in the present moment that was here 5 minutes ago, but I wasn't in touch with it. Now I'm in touch with it more, and it becomes a resource that I can draw on. I'm oriented in time and space to this present moment, to this location, to being here with you, being of service. And that feels really good. So thank you. Thank you for being here with me. The topic of this video series is defenses. We all have defenses that we've developed in our lives in response to feelings, experiences, and facts that we wish were not so. But they are what they are. Right? And this is a tough thing to deal with. This is sort of part of a more grown-up, realistic awareness practice, or spirituality, if you like that word, is really being with what is as it is. And defenses really are strategies that we've developed over time so as to try and not have to be with what is. So the first defense we talked about in the first video was denial. And I always run out of time at the end, so I kind of summarize the topics a little bit each time. We talked about denial. So denial is pretending this didn't happen. I don't really feel this way about it. These facts are not really true, when in fact they are true. Denial is something we're all very familiar with. Rationalization was the second one that we talked about. And rationalization is any time I sort of distort reality by making up a story that I try to convince myself and other people about, so that it wasn't really what it was, right? It's actually something else. There's a famous story from the history of psychology. I think it's actually Sigmund Freud maybe meeting someone like Mesmer, someone who was a famous hypnotist of that time, as Sigmund Freud was developing his ideas of the unconscious, of what we're unconscious of inside of ourselves that drives our behavior, and maybe our thoughts and our feelings, and how we sort of move through life, our motivations coming from an unconscious place inside of us. We all have an unconscious. We're never going to get rid of that, but part of what awareness practice does is allows us to work with our unconscious. So in this famous story, someone is hypnotized and they're told that when they hear maybe a word, like maybe the word is green, that when they hear that word, they're going to go into the corner and open up an umbrella that's standing in the corner. And so the person comes out of hypnosis. Welcome back. How was it for you? I don't know. Did it work? Were you able to hypnotize me? It didn't really feel like anything. Okay, I just got very relaxed. Cool. They have a conversation, and at a certain point, the hypnotist says the word green as part of a normal sentence, and the person gets up and goes and picks up the umbrella, opens the umbrella. Hey, you see what you just did? Why'd you open that umbrella? And most people in that moment, it's sort of a human reflex, will rationalize. We'll say, oh, I thought I heard thunder outside the room. Did it start raining? Right? So we think that we have to cover over the fact that we don't really know why something happened, or we don't really like the way something felt, or we're embarrassed about our actual motivations. So again, in terms of working with defenses, compassion is so crucial, and curiosity, and knowing that we're all human, and we all have defenses. We all have ways that we are unaware of what we're doing and why, and of how we really feel. And so carving out spaces in our lives where we can drop in and really work with that is key. So the third defense that I'll mention is dissociation. So dissociation is where I disconnect from my present reality so as to not have to deal with how it actually feels, not have to deal with experiences, facts, or feelings that I wish were not the case. And so dissociation is something that at times is necessary and at times is useful, but under severe stress, in cases of trauma, in situations of trauma, we really disconnect from our bodies, from our emotions, from our sensations, from our current environment. And part of why I think awareness practice in a really integrated, embodied way can be so healing and so beneficial is that it shifts us out of that. It's the opposite of that. It's really coming into being here. It's really listening to your emotional intelligence. It's really being in touch with your one precious body and centered in the present moment. And being centered in the present moment means you're also aware of how the past has affected you. And in that awareness, there's an opportunity to be self-loving. Join me again with one of those long, slow inhales. And when the video ends, keep blowing out slowly through your mouth as if through a little straw. I'll see you soon.